Hello and welcome to our very first podcast with About Turn. My name is Austin O'Malley. Um, I work s- with the Veterans Network within the ICS. Today we have Sarah
Hi, I'm Sarah. I work with the TIL service, the Veterans Mental Health Service, and I'm also an addiction psychiatrist.
and Leigh.
I'm Leigh Arrowsmith and I work with About Turn. We're a peer support group for veterans.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Welcome today. We're just going to have a quick chat today about Turn as well as Leigh's experience as a veteran, and a general understanding as to the background as to how About Turn has come about, as well as any experiences that we feel relevant. So, Sarah, would you like to start off the questions first?
Yeah. I'm just really interested, sort of how you got into working with the military in the initial stages, and what sort of your first sort of experiences were, and what your sort of the lifestyle was like, as such.
For me,
Good and bad.
yeah, military, I joined up when I was 20 and decided that I wanted to do something different to what all my friends were doing. It was something that, civilian life just wasn't for me right at that age. So I joined up and became a driver and realised that I didn't like driving. So I became a driver medic instead and realised that my forte was being a medic. Went over to Germany, spent most of my time over there. Loved the life, loved the camaraderie. It was just like a totally different way of life to what I'd been used to. Stayed in for 5, 6 years, came out, and then got called up for Bosnia. So I went out to Bosnia, thinking that it was all going to be exactly the same and all rosy in the hood, and it wasn't all that. But came home and found that once I'd come home, the army kind of like dropped us off at the door and just said, "See you later. There's a travel warrant. See you later." No, no continuation of care or anything like that from them. Nothing at all. So when I came out, it was like, oh well, I just have to deal with everything that I've been through as a medic. I have to deal with all that, and just as any squaddy does, you just kind of just put it at the back of your mind and just crack on with life. So I managed to do that I thought I'd managed to do it for quite a long time, but I realised that obviously the drinking side of things, the army culture is if you have a problem, you drink. If you're happy, you drink. So when you come out, obviously it wasn't a problem when you were in the army, when you're doing it all the time kind of thing, but then when you come out, it's only then do you realise that actually drinking, a litre bottle of vodka every day to drown your woes isn't such a good idea, and it's frowned upon, where it wasn't, when you were back serving, it wasn't frowned upon. You could deal with it that way. And things got worse and worse, I think, because I wasn't acknowledging the fact that I had a problem with mental health more than anything. So the drinking got to that stage where, yes, I was a functional alcoholic. I kept down the job. I was never out of work. I made damn sure that I was still as punctual as ever. Never drank on the job. I always made sure that I was spot on kind of thing. Still had my military head on. And went through life for a good 20 odd years like that. Until it all came to a head and triggers and stuff like that I knew nothing about started on us. I think it took us about 25 years to actually get diagnosed with PTSD. From Bosnia. And I think once I got that diagnosis, it wasn't too bad for us, because then I could rationalise, oh, this is why I'm being the way that I am.
Do you think a diagnosis for most veterans would be helpful, or do you think sometimes it wouldn't be?
Because sometimes you just think, oh, I just don't fit in. I'm this square peg in a round hole that just does not fit into civilian life, and I never will. And that was the way that I always thought it was.
So there was some. So it sounds like not only were you dealing with PTSD and alcohol, but there was some transitional stuff.
Transitional stage. There was nothing there. You got dropped off by the army. You got a travel warrant. There you go home. And then there was nothing in between. So it was just a case of as soon as you got out, you had to go get a job.
Yeah.
And then you were just trying to push your way through civilian life, which just for me just didn't work.
And medical services, for example, are quite different, aren't they? So was that something was that a barrier to you getting help at all?
It was a barrier because I didn't ask for any help.
Right.
So like, there isn't a problem here. I'm perfectly all right. There is no problem.
Right.
Yeah, I'm drinking, but I always drank, and it wasn't a problem when I was in the army. So I think that was a barrier for me.
So it's probably internal barriers.
It was an internal barrier, definitely.
As well as maybe, so when we're looking at sort of how we could help someone like you, it's not only maybe external barriers that we can see, but it's the how do we reach someone who doesn't think they need help or doesn't want help.
Yeah, because to be truthful, at that stage, people around us were saying, oh, you really need to get help with your drinking, like there's something up here. And I'm going, there's nothing wrong with me. And I kept up that facade for a good 10 years, where I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm a functioning alcoholic. I hate that word. Hate it.
Yeah. If someone says that to me, it's a red flag for me as well. But as a professional, but if we could sort of go back in time, what do you think would have got through to you earlier?
Probably speaking to another squaddy.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I didn't have. Yes, I still had my contacts from obviously my army days, my army friends, my brothers and sisters that are always going to be there. But some of them were still in the army, so they still had the army head, which is you don't complain, you don't have problems, you certainly don't have mental health problems, because if anybody got wind of you having mental health problems, you were out or you were created in, something that you don't want on your record, kind of thing, is having a mental health problem.
Could I just ask, so what things with regards to mental health and stigma in the military, what kind of things would be done?
It was horrendous when I was in.
Right.
We're talking like early 90s when I was in.
Right.
And in the early 90s, if you said that you had a problem with your mental health, it was this nut job here is wanting some help. Give it some help. And it was literally like that. And the other boys and girls would sort you out.
Yeah.
You haven't got a problem anymore. It's like, shut up and go and have a drink.
And I think that's going back to when I was asking about diagnosis, whether it would be helpful or not, because a lot of your generation of veterans fear going mad because they've had this language. Nut job, loon was the word I heard in the late 90s. Loon. The officers used to talk about their soldiers being loons and those sort of things, and it's very negative. And I just worry, and I think it's not just the diagnosis, it's who explains it, isn't it? How it's explained to you.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so frowned upon to even mention your mental. To be truthful, you didn't even use the term mental health.
Yeah.
It was just, I'm having an off day.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
And if you had more than 2 off days in a row, you were sorted out.
Yeah. And I imagine being in Bosnia, because everybody around you would be going through the same experiences or similar experiences, it might be seen, I'm speculating to see what you think, but
you're weak.
You're weak, aren't you? Because everybody's going through it. So you don't want to be the first person to say this isn't right.
Yeah. It's like, what's so special about you that you think that you're more special than everybody else?
Yeah.
Because you've got a problem, deal with it.
Yeah.
And that's literally the way that the army was back then.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's changed. I'm hoping that it has.
Yeah.
For the better.
And there's definitely things that are changing, but we see there's differences, don't we, in different cohorts? There's different experiences throughout. And but I think the Bosnia generation particularly is a generation that's hard to tap into sometimes. Do you know why that would be? Why that would?
I don't think anybody talks about Bosnia. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because it's not a war.
Yeah.
We were there as a stabilisation force, but I still lost good friends of mine then. The landmines were still real. There were still people getting targeted you weren't allowed out of camp. If you did go out of camp, you had to look always told us exactly the same as if you were in the middle of the war zone. It may as well have been a war zone. Yeah.
And do you think I know sometimes I've heard people talking about sort of the rules of engagement being quite unfamiliar or different, so that's made it harder for some people?
Yeah. The rules of engagement for Bosnia, Jesus. I mean, they give you the little manual and expect you to read it and everything like that. Does Squaddy read No, no, they don't. They don't. You know, I've kept the manual. I've still
Yeah.
got the manual. It's pristine. You know, my rules of engagement was a case of don't shoot them unless they're shooting you.
Yeah. And that was quite different, wasn't it? Yeah, because a lot of people that I've talked to about Bosnia say they felt that their hands were tied and they couldn't react like they were trained to react.
You know, the first thing that the teacher, or as soon as you went over into camp, they would teach us, don't go near the civilians.
Yeah.
And you've got kids like crying at you every time they saw you. They were crying and asking for food.
Yeah.
Don't feed them because they'll come back and expect more.
Yeah.
Don't give them this, don't give them that. I'm like, well, we're not here as a peacekeeping in his health. But then you're told not to do that because that's crossing a line that shouldn't be crossed.
Yeah. And that doesn't sit, I don't know, from knowing the sort of values that you're trained, with that sort of, it doesn't sit right with the values.
It does not sit right at all. I mean,
you
know, I shouldn't be saying it, but I mean, my packed lunch every time I went out as a medic, my packed lunch went to them kids.
Yeah.
You know, whether they were handed out of the window of my van or whether I threw it, they still got it.
And I've heard plenty of stories like that, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way are we going to sit there and eat when these poor kids are standing on the street, you know, with no food whatsoever, and they literally didn't have anything. You know, the place was absolutely bombed to shit, and it was hideous for them. Yeah.
And do you think that had an impact on how you cope? Do you think Bosnia particularly had an impact on how you coped or what you had to deal with when you left? Was it?
In what way?
In sort of maybe how, do you think it impacted on you drinking more or, or
sure.
hiding your symptoms or I don't know, something like that?
I mean, literally, like you said before, you know, we're all there together and all experiencing the same things. I know as a medic, it's slightly different to other things. I saw more things than what I should have done.
Yeah.
But then so did the other medics.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, in your head, you're thinking, well, there's obviously something not right with me for me not being able to cope. And you don't think of it as being your mental health. It's just you being weak, not being able to cope with it. So coming out of Bosnia and going back to a civilian job, it was like, right, I just need to knuckle down here and I'll be all right. My mindset, I was like, I'll be okay. I just need another job. I need to focus on something else.
Yeah, the sort of sense of cracking on. Yeah.
It just kept on and on and on.
And that's a sort of real military sort of sense, is that sort of stoicism and that carrying on rather than
dealing with it.
Yeah. And
it's like it's nothing. Is how can I explain it? It's like you can't have them kind of feelings because it would make you less of a person. You're not like a proper soldier.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's ingrained in you that you've got to be this rough, tough, just carry on machine for you to be able to do your job, or else you wouldn't. You know, if we all sat there and went, "Oh, woe is me, I'm having a bad day," nothing would get done and life would be lost. When you think about it.
Do you think there's more pressure on women to sort of live up to that sometimes, or do you think there's more pressure on men, or is it different?
I'm going to say it's totally different, male and female. I don't know what it's like now, but we were the first females to do the male courses. We were the first ones in 1991.
Yeah.
So for us, we had to. It felt like I had to achieve 120%. Just to have like a guy next to us that was achieving 60%. Then I would maybe be on a par with them. Hopefully that's changed now. I think we did a lot to
change that.
To change the barriers.
I think things have changed, but it's how much, isn't it? Sometimes it's the further to go. But do you feel as well? I mean, there's the pressure on the sort of work. Do you think there's the the work hard, play hard type of attitude that I know you have? A lot of you have. Do you think the play hard bit as well? You had to keep up with the men.
The play hard bit. I mean, I joined the army and I wasn't. I think I probably drank once.
Really?
Before I joined up, and I was 20 when I joined up, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the taste of thingy, but when you join up and they're all going, right, how are we going to go back to the squadron bar? And then they're keep up. And they're sinking this and they're sinking that one and they're expecting it out of you. And if they see your weakness, you did
Yeah.
kind of like try to be one of the boys, try to keep up with them
Yeah.
with everything.
We all know
work to drink.
physically women are much more susceptible at a smaller amount, for all the health issues and the direct issues. So that's something to really be thinking about, sort of that stacking up health problems for the future, isn't it?
Right away from the start,
yeah. So that's so it's something that I think is really important to think about.
Yeah.
It's about how women, that male female sort of difference is so it sounds like is important to consider.
It was
yeah, definitely.
Basically, we were the first women on the camp that I went to in Germany.
Yeah.
Right.
It was an all-male camp. In the camp that they sent us to was a bad boys camp.
Yeah.
Where all of the bad boys that they couldn't control went to this camp.
Yeah.
They shoved 14 women in this camp of like 3,000 guys and went, there you go. And it's like some of the guys were like, oh, women. Some of the guys were like, what are these doing here?
Yeah.
So we went for a lot of months. After about a year, they tolerated us.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of the guys were great, very supportive and everything. But the old timers, the ones that had been from the 70s and 80s, were like, no, women aren't allowed in this camp. And they made our life hell. You couldn't even go to the squadron bars without getting a chain like thrown at you and stuff like that as you walk through the door. Hopefully all of that's changed as well.
Yeah.
But I think maybe I just experienced the camps that I went to. That's not the normal run of the mill camps.
Yeah. Everybody's experience is an experience, isn't it?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and that's the thing. And I think the variety of experience of people, but there's some commonalities there, isn't there? There's some commonalities in what you describe, even if you maybe had some extremes.
We did have the extremes there. I mean, obviously, that's not normal behaviour going in. But it was for us.
Well, there are camps like that. And I remember there's certain they did at least then. I don't know now, but they did have units where they put the people that were struggling as such.
Yeah.
So
now it'd be all the mental health people to be
yeah.
And then they shoved them all together and went, there you go, happy little lunch.
Yeah. So sort of from a point of leaving and then moving forward, did you what made you realize something was wrong or you needed help? What was the point where you thought that the line where you went, this isn't right?
Right, I'm going to be truthfully honest, and I did not accept that there was any problems at all until I had a bit of a breakdown, is the only thing that I can explain it as. But at the time, I didn't even know that was a breakdown.
No.
I decided that I would throw myself in front of a car.
Really?
And it took to that experience to say, right, I'm going to have to go to the doctors, and ask for some help. And that was only in 2017.
Yeah. So it's a long time after, but also that lack of awareness in yourself.
Still, because it was like, I'm not going to be beat. There's nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
Still that mentality, that squatty mentality was still beating us around the head with a brush.
And it sounds like it got, quite extreme before, even you recognised it, which is a shame, isn't it, that we couldn't have. What do you think? Do you think anything like, awareness, education sessions, anything like that would have helped you understand earlier? What would have helped you notice something wasn't right?
Do you know what? Looking back, if that after I'd left the army, if there'd been like a transitional period after I'd left, and you do a few how to get on in Civvy Street, just a seminar or something on that, and if they said then, watch out for your mental health. This could happen. If you see anything like this is mental health, and this is something that you really need to go and get checked out. Instead of being just this rough thing.
Do you think you would have paid attention at the time? That's because I think that's the because I'm just wondering, with some people that were further on in time than you, they had some of that. But they say, well, I didn't think it was relevant to me at the time.
I mean, it's good to look back and think of all the rosy things that would have helped us. Whether I would have took it up, I can't honestly say.
Because there's something about the attitude.
That might have niggled
Yeah,
Stayed there and
there's
went,
a
"Oh,
question mark, there. So a question mark might have hooked you in
it
earlier.
might have done."
Yeah. But I think like you say, there's that military attitude that sort of still says, I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the one that can't
I'm
cope.
not a weak link.
Yeah.
You know, you still carry that through where you think that you are going to be the weak link if you say something. But yeah, I think if the being somebody talking to us when I'd left, instead, you know, if you do have anything like that in the future, just remember this one piece of advice: go to your doctor.
Yeah.
Could I ask Leigh, what would be your thoughts on if that kind of discussion was before you even signed up? I mean, I suppose if you're going to sign up, for example, the military are aware that, you know, following any conflict or the possibility of there being a conflict, many of the soldiers may suffer some mental health issues, either while they're in deployment or even after that. Do you think, would that have resonated a bit more, maybe?
Me back in the day, I'm going to be honest and say no.
Right.
It would have no difference to me whatsoever. I would have still, because I wanted to join up and I wanted to fight for my country. So it would have made no difference to me whatsoever what was said to us beforehand.
Right.
And I'm truthfully honest about that. I would have still gone ahead and done everything that I'd done beforehand. I would have probably just went, not me.
Do you think it's something about not just when, but who and how it's delivered?
Probably yes.
Yeah. Who would you have taken it from best? You know.
Well, I mean, me as a medic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have took it from me.
No.
I wouldn't have took it from me.
So you want to took it from another medic, maybe?
I wouldn't have thought so, no.
No.
Right.
I suppose, do you know, the only people that you really listen to when I was out in Bosnia, I'll go with the Padre.
Yeah.
You know, the Padre that said, bear in mind that if when you get home and feeling a little bit down or anything like that, and you can't explain it, maybe I would have took it from him.
Yeah. You describe sort of, for people that don't know, maybe the role of a Padre, sort of when you're deployed, or, you know, just day-to-day sort of military life, because I don't know if, you know, people that don't understand a Padre, because, you know, and sort of who goes to them and what you go to them for.
Right. Well, basically, the Padre is just there for an impartialness, I'll say.
Right.
You know, somebody that doesn't judge you, you can go and say, oh, I'm having a little bit of tough time, something's happened at home and I'm feeling a bit rough.
Yeah.
And then they'll chat to you, but it doesn't go any further.
Yeah.
Right.
You know that's safe.
Yeah.
You know, he's not going to go back to your squadron leader or whoever it is that you're with and say, oh, this one's got a problem, unless they deem that it was going to obviously
safe,
the company.
A risk. So,
if it was a risk, then that would be different.
Yeah.
But I mean, you knew that whatever you said to the Padre, it was just between you two, so it was just like having a chat with a family member.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, they're a bit of a lifeline, is the Padre service. Thankfully, I didn't actually have to use them.
Yeah.
But I did, you know, I did actually, you know, speak when I was out there, kind of thing. But maybe I should have used them a little bit more.
Yeah.
Looking back.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're an invaluable service, to be truthful. You know, and that you don't think of them as anyone other than somebody that you can have a chat to.
Right.
For me.
Yeah, because I think some people see them as, you know, very much it would only be the religious people within a unit, and it isn't like that, is it?
Not at all. No.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're all like savvy or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, you don't. There's
don't.
no God speak when you talk to them. To be truthful, it's just, you know, somebody having a chat like we're having a chat now. You know, so
So there's something about that role that maybe would be useful to sort of carry on right through services, isn't it? Beyond, you know, to have people like that outside of the military, but in maybe veteran services, somebody you can go to, someone you can access. There's something about that model, isn't there, that might be more familiar to people.
Yeah.
I know we've sometimes got Padres involved, especially when it's been more, you know, moral injury issues, so issues of conscience. You know, that's what we have used them in the past, and they have worked.
Right.
You know, generally, there's a lot of hospital chaplains are ex-military Padres, aren't they? You
Yeah.
know, yeah. So there's something in that, I think, that could be used as a model. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely
No, it's just interesting because it's something that, it's something that I don't think people understand. Who, you know, is a role that I think people.
Services.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think this is very much more sort of religious than confidential and sort of that sort of human.
It's not like what it is if you were to go to a priest, you know, as a civilian going into the priest at the local church and having the word. It's not like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's just somebody that's totally on your side and impartial. You know, they've got your back kind of thing. It's nice to speak to them.
But there's something about their level of understanding of what you've been through as well, isn't there? Because they're there with you.
Yeah, they're there. Yeah, so they've seen it or they know of everything that's gone on with you. So you have got that little bit of comradeship with them as well.
And the trust.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So there's elements there that we could almost model, even if we, you know, even if we didn't have a role as such. But there's things there that we need to sort of think about. How can we model that in services beyond the military?
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be a great link, actually, to be honest, for veterans. Do you know what I mean? Like linking, bringing them right the way through. Yeah.
So it's something we could, it's something we could use, isn't it, in the future? So of looking back at maybe your story and sort of the needs of veterans like yourself, where do you think when you came out, where were the gaps?
Well, I didn't know of any other squaddy places to go to. There was no military places for me to just have a drop in and have a chat to other squaddies. There was nothing. So literally you were dropped and that's it. You're in civil life and deal with it kind of thing. That's what's missing.
Yeah.
Is the next link to your outside but still military.
And do you think maybe, say, if you'd had one of these drop-ins and someone sort of maybe a little bit ahead of your story had said to you, I think you might have similar problems to I've had, and this is how you get help, you would listen? Yeah. And is that who you would trust? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that who you would trust the most, you know, rather than a professional or, you know?
Yes, 100%, because, you know, if they're your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the hardest thing to explain to people, because it's a job like no other.
Yeah.
And these people have had your back and they will always have your back. So you always trust them no matter what, whether you're outside of the army or not. It would make no difference. You would still trust what they have to say. If they're further on than what you have, they can turn around and say, oh, well, you know, I had exactly the same problem. This is what I had to do.
Yeah.
Is, you know, there's a couple of numbers. Give them a phone and see what you reckon. You know, you would definitely 100% listen to another service member.
But I suppose equally, if they'd had a bad experience, you wouldn't trust the service. If they'd had a bad experience, is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, you're going to trust that person is telling you.
Yeah. So it's really important, I suppose, then for services, you're providing services for veterans that that they maintain a good reputation.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's journey's different. Mine was not as helpful as what I would have liked.
Yeah.
But half of that was down to me.
Yeah.
Half was down to not knowing that there was services out there for us.
Yeah.
You know, there was a little bit of not knowing that you could go to the doctors and say, you know, I've got mental health problems or I've got dreams that won't go away. I mean, crippling nightmares for years and years and years and not having no sleep for years.
Yeah.
It's toll on you as well. But
absolutely.
Unless somebody else tells you, oh, I've got the same thing as that, I've had that.
Yeah.
You know, something as simple as that.
Did you feel you were going mad, or, you know, that's what?
Yeah. There was something seriously wrong with me. Like, I'm off my trolley.
And did you feel this? I mean, I know a lot of people that have literally come to me and say, I felt I don't want to be told I'm going mad. I'm not mad, am I? And that's the greatest feeling. Yeah. Do you think there's a sense of shame that goes with that?
Huge sense of shame.
Yeah. So that's a barrier. That's one of those internal barriers that we need to be able to reach out to somehow, isn't it?
The last thing that you want to do is admit that you're weak.
Yeah.
And that is still what you think, no matter what. As a military person, you're weak because you've got mental health problems. You're not.
Yeah.
You're just like any other person that's had a little bit of trauma that needs help.
Yeah, and it's not like, I don't know, it doesn't seem to me, from my experience of dealing with civilians and the military, it doesn't seem to me like just normal, I feel weak. You know, if I feel weak as a civilian, you know, I'm having a bad day, I feel weak, but the shame that goes with feeling weak,
that's it. Yeah,
is different. It seems to be at a different level.
I think the shame of it's probably like at this much level.
Yeah.
People, you know,
And
like an 80% level.
And I think shame is a real barrier to care, because how would you admit, if you feel ashamed of what's happening to you, why would you admit that to somebody else?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think this is where there's something about that we need to work out, how we cross that barrier to either reduce the shame, but also to try, to reach out to those people that are feeling that shamed.
Yeah.
I
mean, that's the whole point of About Turn, because when you all sit together, like we've just done there this morning, we've all sat together and we've chatted about all different kinds of things. But to know that somebody else's mental health isn't too good, and then you go, oh yeah, mine's not being good, and then the next person pipes up, and then we explain exactly what we're all going through.
Exactly. And
and that's totally different.
Yeah, that takes the shame and the fear away, doesn't it? That's and that's the sort of the busting of the shame, is that engagement, isn't it? That's the first step to engagement, I think. So there's something really positive about that. So what would you what do you see in About Turn that you didn't have?
If somebody had told me when I got out that there was this group that was going to just have a sit down on a Friday and you can chat about anything, but they're all military, and they all get you, that would have made a big difference to me. And I would have engaged, and I know that I would wholeheartedly. I know that I would have engaged with it, because I'm not saying anything about your mental health or anything like that. You can talk about anything. You're with other people that think and speak the same as you, which is nothing like what civvies speak like, and and think like. Nobody thinks like a squaddy, unless you're a squaddy. It's as simple as that,
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about About Turn, and sort of what it is, and who it's specifically aimed for, at, and where we've come from, where you've come from, and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, About Turn came about when I first came into recovery. And I said to myself and other people around us that I did not want another squaddy to feel the way that I had. So if I could reach just one person, then it's one person less down the road that's going to end up like this, like I was. And that was basically where I came into it. Obviously things were going on the paperwork that I knew nothing about, and it just collaborated, thankfully. So we're here as a peer support group. We meet up every week on a Friday. We're hoping on maybe expanding that, because a lot of the veterans that I've spoken to are saying that the work and they're missing out on the group, so they would like something at a night time or at a weekend.
Right.
So that's something that we're going to look into.
Yeah, and I think that's something different about veterans. I think there's a lot more people that are working who are struggling with a lot more as well.
Well,
just by the very nature of them.
Yeah, part and parcel of it. You go out, you get a job straight away as soon as you come out, and you stick at the jobs and you stick at the jobs. You don't want to be, a dull person. You don't want to be a person that's sitting on the backside doing nothing, because then you relay about. Then you think down on yourself straight away as soon as you do that. So, I mean, like me, I kept going for 20 odd years. Until it got too bad where I just couldn't anymore. So I mean, it's just ingrained in that you've got to work. But if there's a group out there that's there after work, people will engage, and they've already said to us that they will engage if we do something at a night time. So that's definitely something else that we're going to be looking at. The other thing that we do is, obviously, I'm on a telephone recovery support group as well. So on Thursday, I'll telephone different veterans just to check in with them, make sure that their mental health's okay, if there's anything that I can do for them, how their days, how their weeks have been. Things like that, in collaborating obviously with whoever the workers are. And that's turned out to be quite a good service as well. I'm getting a lot of feedback off that.
Excellent.
People are actually answering now, where You know, sometimes they weren't answering, or they would answer the first week and then go, "Nah, I'm not answering that no more." But I think because pressurising them basically and keep ringing them until they answer it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's it is that persistence.
Yeah, you've got to be
that pays out, because and I think that's, I mean, just understanding the nature of trauma, and especially people that are drinking, like you say, your group, particularly the alcohol, it's you're blocking things out. You're avoiding talking about things, and sometimes you just have to keep going, don't you? Because the avoidance is part of the problem.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
When I was really bad, I wouldn't answer the phone to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I saw the phone ringing and I was in panic because the phone was ringing.
Yeah.
So I get that totally. So now, to be truthful, I'll send a text. If they don't answer the phone, I send a text and just introduce myself, tell them who I am, and then ring them back. And I seem to get quite a good engagement with that.
Yeah, we find that in the veteran services, we text them and then tell them when we're going to phone, and it sort of helps some of that anxiety and fear of picking up the phone. And you know, we forget how intrusive being called is, because we expect to be able to get hold of people just like that all the time. And for some people that are struggling, it's really intrusive or stress inducing, and they just want to avoid, don't they? And I think we see that the problem we see in mental health is that people are given 2 chances to engage and then they're discharged, or something, you know, with these discharge policies. And I think
I don't really want to do that.
And we're not, you know, I don't, we try very much to engage in our team as well as your team to keep going with people.
There could be some weeks where nobody's going to engage, but that's fair enough, because they might just be having enough couple of days or something. So you just have to keep on and on and on. You've got to drive it on.
To find balance, though, sometimes not pestering them, isn't it? Because we want to, we feel very motivated to get people better. I know you feel very similar to me.
And people are like, "What I'm about to," and they're like, "Yeah, we know."
Yeah. I think that's but I think that's the enthusiasm, I think, of people that work in veteran services, isn't it? That engagement is a big thing. You know, we've talked about sort of barriers to people accessing care, and engagement are some of the big issues, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so
definitely. I think when you phone people as well and they realise that you are another veteran speaking to them, you know, and especially with the drugs and alcohol side of things, and see, oh yeah, I've been through exactly the same as what you're going through. Oh right. And, you know, it's a lot more easier to engage with people that knows what they're talking about, kind of thing. Because they've already been there. They've travelled the road that you're thinking of travelling down, kind of thing. So it does give you a bit more of a boost, I think.
Yeah. Where do you see the sort of need in your service? Where do you think, apart from maybe evenings or weekends, what else do you think? What's your wish list?
My wish list.
Yeah.
When I speak to most veterans, they'll say, "Can we get away for a weekend?"
Yeah.
And they're desperate just to go fishing, to have an outward bounds thing, and go and attempt and just sit out in the cars, because you miss that kind of thing. You know, you come back to the big city and you miss being out on manoeuvres or out on exercise. You do miss all that kind of stuff. So that's one of the things that we're definitely going to be trying to push for. Is weekends away, outward bounds, rock climbing. You know, like you used to do when you were in the services. Because once a year you manage to go somewhere to do a little bit of outward bounds. And it just brings you all together. You know, so that kind of thing I'm desperate for. That'll come further down the line when we get some kind of funding and help that way. But yeah, I think that's probably one of the things that I'm looking most forward to. Apart from the big thing is just getting people in the groups. Just reaching another one and another one, maybe the next and another one.
And how would you see? How would you see that best working? Do you think that's word of mouth from the veteran, or do you think that's services putting the word out, or both? Or
it's going to have to come from both. You know, it's nice. It's nice to speak to the veterans I'm speaking to, and yes, they are going to. Oh, did you know about this service? You know, I'm going to this one on Friday. Do you want to come, kind of thing? Do you want us to get added to the books, kind of thing? But it would be lovely to hear it from, if because I went to my doctors. I know I'm going back to me, but I went to my doctors and said, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And this was about 10 years before I actually had my breakdown.
Right.
But I didn't know what was wrong with this. I was just like, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
And there's some tablets, go away.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of like delving into
Yeah.
what was the problem, it was just, there's some tablets, you're just feeling down, get yourself away.
Yeah.
If they had somewhere where they could have said, okay, I see that you're a veteran, because
Yeah.
obviously these codes now that's on
Yeah,
your
yeah.
medical forms, which I knew nothing about
No.
until last year.
Yeah. Did they know you were a veteran at that point?
Whether they did, I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know.
Nobody was interested, and obviously I didn't.
Yeah. And you didn't know it was any
I'm a
value.
veteran.
Yeah, you didn't know it was any value to them to know either. Whereas now it would
Now
be
we
value.
do.
It would be value for them to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I know, I have to admit that when I do go to my doctors, I'll say I'm a veteran and I'm struggling with blah blah, or I've got this, whatever it is. But I do now say that I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
But before that, I knew nothing about this code.
Yeah.
You know, these codes that the doctors have on your medical records. I knew nothing about that, and I'm going to presume that most squaddies don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Fair enough to assume.
But I think there's something in. There's no point telling somebody unless it's of use, isn't it? And I think it's knowing that if you had told someone at that point and they'd known about services.
Yeah, if I told my doctor at that point 10 years beforehand, I might have got the treatment that I needed a lot sooner. In fact, I would have got the treatment that I needed a lot sooner.
Yeah.
So I think we've got to educate at the doctor's surgeries that there is other drop-off points, you know, signpost them to these groups.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a good start.
Yeah, so it's word of mouth from us as professionals, but also word of mouth at the veterans level as well.
Side as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So, and sort of, what do you think moving forward? How would you want to work with other services? You know, what could we do to help you, or what could you do to help us? I mean, as our GPs, anything? Is there anything we could be doing more of? Is it just that sort of word of mouth signposting, or is there more we could be doing to support?
I'm trying to think of anything that other than signposting them to another. You know, you signpost them to us, and that's a help for us, and it's also a help for the doctor surgeries too, because it means that's, you know, it's working hard.
It's mutual, isn't it? It's
and
I think that's from working with veterans. I just feel that once you know you've got a veteran, you've got so many more services to access. You know, for example, even in this day and age where you have to wait for funding for rehab, we can find funding from other sources that maybe other people don't have access to, for example, in addictions. And that, that could mean that the timing is better for rehab for somebody, or we can meet people in crisis. This, obviously you've got Operation Courage you can access. So it is important, isn't it, to know someone's a veteran, I think. Because you can get, like you say, it's beneficial to the service, the provider of services, because and we've been talking very much about sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's about housing. If you can't feed your children, you're not going to start opening up about your past, for example. You need to get your children fed, those sort of things. So it's about addressing the whole needs of the veteran, isn't it?
Definitely.
And I think sometimes, from my experience, by the time veterans present, they've developed a whole set of problems on top of the original problem. Is that what you would say?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's housing, social stuff, marriages, partners.
There's so many that come out and they end up on the streets.
Yeah.
And the veteran suicide is a huge thing.
Yeah.
For me at the minute, you send up beacon alerts, you get them daily basis, beacon alerts that people are missing, and unfortunately, they feel like they haven't got anywhere else to go to, and we end up sadly with them past. And there's far too many.
And it seems to me such a shame now when there are services. Yeah. And the rhetoric used to be that there wasn't services, and there was a time when there weren't services. now sometimes we still hear that rhetoric that there aren't services, and that worries me, that it puts people off accessing help because they think there isn't. But it's a shame that there are services and we're not engaging them. So how do you think we could reach them in a, you know, in a more general way? I mean, I think more of what you're doing is key.
Definitely. You know, if this, how would I explain it? For me, if I'd been told at my doctor's surgery, or you can go to this place, and you'll meet other people just like you, and you can just have a talk about things, and then we can, obviously, if we're working hand in hand with all different services, you know, you bring them to us, and we can help. You know, bring them to you as well, and bring them to the right places that they need. You know, for the right services that they need. It's great that people, you know, like the likes of Walking with the Wounded and all these kind of huge charities that are going to champion you and help you out as well. Again, working together. I think it's half the battle if we all work together and not against each other.
And I think maybe historically there's been, just by the way funding has been set up, it's made people competitive against each other, whereas now I think there's much more of an ethos of working together.
You get that feeling.
You know, I think definitely with some of the work that's just going on across the patch, this you know, the northeast geographical patch, it's very much trying to work together now. And I don't think it was that we didn't want to work together. Maybe we were pitted against each other because of funding. You know, that we were competing.
The best pitch can get the funding for this year. You are going to work against each other. Finally, that's going to stop.
Because I know
all together is going to be a lot more better for everybody involved.
And it's very much the military way, isn't it? Working together rather than working against each other.
Exactly.
Even if you know, there's a lot of rivalry, but you know, still.
There's always going to be rivalry.
Have rivalry, but work together. That's the military lesson, isn't it? You know?
They're still your brothers and sisters.
Exactly. And I think that's I think that's very much what I think we should model, how we model veteran services in. We can be as rival with each other, because that aids us getting better, but at the same time we're still brothers and sisters. We're working for the same goal, and we're working together for the same goal. But a bit of healthy rivalry gives us a bit of, you know, self-improvement,
a little bit of a push. Absolutely.
It makes you keep thinking.
Want to do a bit more.
You
see what somebody else is doing, well, we could do that as well, but we'll do more.
And I think sharing ideas, like you say, sharing ideas, and maybe one of the things I'm thinking of that maybe we haven't really talked about is that you're so very Newcastle centric, but we're hoping this model can roll out. We can support other similar.
Which would be fantastic if every other county or every other town has them. You know,
because it would be so much. Wouldn't it be lovely if it was accessible to everybody, and that everybody, you know, everybody could get there. And you know, obviously there's going to be difficulties in places like Northumberland, for example. But it might be, I mean, I know models where maybe there's a bus, you know, someone drives a bus and picks them all up. You know, in the Highlands of Scotland, that happens used to happen for, at least for veteran services. So there's other ways of tackling the same problem, but having a similar model to yourself.
I think so. I think because the way the world has changed, and for example, we're online at the moment. I think that might be something that could benefit. Even it might not be the most ideal, but it would benefit a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? And be able to reach more people. And be able to reach more people as well.
And I think that's it. It's about using, you know, this is a good way for maybe some of those more difficult to reach areas.
And also it kind of gives you the privacy if it's required. Do you know what I mean? To discuss things before or after meetings as well. So no, I think that would be it. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. Leigh, is there anything else you'd like to tell us about before we sign off about Turn?
Just that we're at George Street every Friday from 10 till 12. Please come along.
Perfect. Couldn't rehearse it any better. Well, listen, thank you very much, and
thank you.
Look forward to speaking to you soon, and all the best. And we'll speak to you soon. Cheerio.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.